Thank you to Squarespace for sponsoring today's video. From websites and online stores, Squarespace is the all-in-one platform to build a beautiful online presence. Hi friends, I hope that you've been well. I finally have a sketchbook tour ready for you. I know it's been a long time coming. And for those of you who might be new here, my name is Tina. I also go by imawonder on the internet. I am a mixed media artist living in Toronto. And the sketchbook in question today is this B Paper marker sketchbook. I do apologize. I think B Paper is now a discontinued company or they are no longer in production. So I do apologize for that. But yeah, what you're gonna see in this sketchbook is mostly going to be alcohol marker illustrations since this is a marker sketchbook. And I am somebody who uses a lot of sketchbooks, so I take a really long time to finish them because I'm jumping around from medium to medium and sketchbook to sketchbook. And I want to say before we dive in that I am somebody who spends a lot of time, typically per page, when I use my sketchbook, so I don't want you to think that this is the only way to approach using a sketchbook. Obviously, there is multitudes of ways of approaching sketchbooks, and I do have other sketchbooks that are much more kind of rushed or ugly or more for conceptual and thumbnailing, whereas this one is definitely stuff that's mostly kind of fully rendered type pieces. Another thing I wanted to say is that when I initially started this sketchbook, I had thought I was going to have most of it finished. And at the time, there was this local art supply store that was doing a group show where they, instead of artwork, it was sketchbooks. And so what you're going to see in here for the first kind of like quarter is there's going to be little sticky notes where people who viewed the sketchbook left nice notes inside everyone's sketchbooks while they flipped through it. So that's the explanation for some of the little sticky notes you're going to see at the kind of beginning part. But yeah, so I started this thing in 2018 and then I finished it a couple of days ago. So yeah, without further ado, before we get into the actual tour, a little word from today's sponsor. As I'm sure many of you are familiar, I have personally been using Squarespace for a couple of years now, and I really love how flexible it is in what you can offer on the website. I personally am someone who has YouTube videos that I like to display on there. Of course, I also have a gallery where I show off my artwork, and I can even have a frequently asked questions page, which is really handy for people who are new to me as an artist, and there's a place that I can direct them to so they can get an overview of what I offer as an illustrator and a creator. So if you are interested in launching your own website, head over to squarespace.com for a free trial, and when you're ready to launch, go to squarespace.com/imawonder for 10% off your first purchase of a website or domain. Okay, so here is the front of the sketchbook. It is a hard kind of cover with spiral bound. I'll have all of the artists of the stickers on the screen here. So like I mentioned, there are some sticky notes here of really nice comments that people left when they browsed through the sketchbook. And to start here, I used to offer on-the-spot commissions when I did conventions. This is San from Princess Mononoke, and this was like a sample that I had made for my on-the-spot commissions at conventions. And so I had this like taped up on my display. And yeah, this is color pencil, marker, alcohol marker, and fine liner. This, I think, was technically the first illustration of this sketchbook, and this was done with acrylic inks. So I used an acrylic ink, and then I had used alcohol markers on top of it, I think, or vice versa. I don't remember. This was for, I had done a solo show back in 2018, and I was doing some preliminary kind of ideas and concepts, and I had used alcohol markers and color pencils on top, and I ended up not having enough time to do these like really fleshed out concept work throughout the process of getting ready for that show, but I did initially do these like really nice rendered portraits for that. Here I was practicing some tigers because I wanted to include a lot of animals in that solo show. The theme was Femme fatale, and my concept for it was that I wanted to include poisonous plants, and I wanted to include like predator, apex predators alongside the figures and portraits of women. So I was practicing some tigers, and I really like how this one turned out. This was something that I thought I was going to do a lot more of. But again, I was just so short on time. So unfortunately, not a lot of other animal studies came of this after the fact. But looking at this really does inspire me to do more of it again. And this was just a fun doodle, alcohol markers and color pencils again. And something that I'm realizing back then was I was really timid in my color choices. Like the washes of alcohol markers, I can tell are really, really light. It's nice to see that I've gotten a little bit more confident, a little bit more bold with my marker usage. This is a portrait of FK Twigs. I did this also with alcohol markers, color pencil, and then I actually also used an acrylic ink, which is really, really pretty and shiny. This was also a concept piece for my Femme Fatale solo show. The kind of main, not logo, but kind of the branding I was going with for that show was a Venus flytrap, because I felt like it really encompassed the concept that I was going for the show. So yeah, I think I ended up doing a gouache or watercolor piece very similar to this that I used for the branding essentially for that show. This is a portrait of one of my favorite drag queens, Adore Delano. And it's really interesting to see this kind of blue lighting, because I guess this might have been my first kind of foray into exploring this kind of neon lighting in my marker and color pencil illustrations. And for those of you who have been keeping up with my work recently, I've been doing this kind of lighting in my work a lot lately. So it's kind of wild to see it here in 2018. Also, this was actually, I think I had used acrylic ink again, like with a paintbrush to do the line art on this. And then I also used some gold ink. And then I think I probably used, like white gouache or white ink for the kind of smoke. I made this during Women's History Month or Women's History Week. This color palette is definitely something I quite enjoy. Blues, purples, pinks, and then a little bit of yellow I think matches really nicely with the hair there. This was a portrait of a character from the show My Little Witch Academia, I think is what the show is called. It was really short-lived. It was on Netflix, or is on Netflix, and it was like a really cute witch anime. And yeah, this was one of the characters. She was like the antagonist. I forget her name right now, but I think I originally had planned to do, I think, make stickers out of them maybe. This is another character from that series. I think she was my favorite from what I remember. I actually quite like this illustration. I think that the shape is really nice and just like how minimal it is. And these were alcohol markers and fine liners and then colored pencils. And then this was another character from that series. And ironically, I never ended up getting around to the main character who, again, all of their names elude me, unfortunately. But yeah, it was a really cute series from what I remember. So the top section here was I was figuring out the color palette for a gouache portrait that I did, which I'll have up here. And then there was just this blank space that I had left for years. And I hate leaving really large empty spaces on my sketchbook pages. So I went back and did this portrait, which I did sometime last year. So I dated it here, 2021. But yeah, this is also alcohol markers and a little bit of color pencil. And then I also used like a black brush marker as well. So going back to, this is still 2018, I believe. This is of a makeup artist person that I used to follow on Instagram. I'll have their handle up. And they did really fun, experimental, artsy makeup looks. And so I was very inspired by them. And that is a portrait of them there. And there's a few of them in here, I believe. And then this is another just kind of, I guess, study for that Femme Fatale solo show. And this was a poisonous plant, I believe, that I was, doing a study of. This is of a model that I follow on Instagram. I'll have their handle up. And I just think that they're super beautiful and very stylish. So that's a portrait of them. This is that Instagram makeup person again. This was a very Keith Haring inspired look, which is very fun. And then this is a portrait I did with fine liners and Posca markers. This paper is super, super smooth, so I figured I might as well try using paint markers on it. And it does kind of lift the fibers up a little bit, but if I'm careful and I don't go over it too often, then it lays down pretty decently. And this I remember distinctly being really frustrated with because I think I was still really unsure of how I wanted to go about using alcohol markers. And so I was really struggling with how streaky this came out. Yeah, I think this might have been in like a combination of maybe the markers were kind of older maybe, or I just wasn't being patient enough, or the paper or something like that. I don't know. But yeah, the brush strokes are like very, very obvious in this for sure. And then jumping ahead, now we are in 2019. And this was I believe I was inspired by, there was like different kind of fashion looks that various drag queens were doing. And then I was very inspired by what they were wearing and stuff. And that's where this came about. I want to say Naomi Smalls wore these like star-shaped sunglasses. Definitely during this time, but still am really obsessed with just like the super blunt cut and then it just being this like really dynamic looking shape. It's like so unrealistic, but it's just so fun looking. And this, so back in 28, wait, what? I guess maybe I skipped a page and then went back to it later because this is dated 2018, but this is dated 2019. So anyway, I don't know. But so 2018 was the year that I went to Disney World with my friend Elise, and I was very concerned about trying to maintain content or still be able to post consistently on Instagram, but obviously I wanted to enjoy my trip, and I went for a week. And so prior to going on the trip, I did a couple of Disney themed illustrations, and then that way I could still post art while I was on the trip. And then I think after the first slide, I would share photos from my actual trip because for my personal Instagram feed, I prefer it to just be artwork. And then in terms of actual sharing personal photos of me or like things that I'm doing, I keep it either in my stories, or in this case, I decided that I would have it like in the carousel. So it was honestly a pretty good idea because then I could share my photos on my feed, but still have art be like the forefront and what you look at when you actually go to my profile. But yeah, so this is Princess Jasmine from Aladdin, and I kind of gave her like a slight modernized version of her outfit from the movie, and I used, again, some gold to make it all fun and shiny. This was for, I remembered they often would do these fun with faces themed kind of art challenges. And so they would list 3 different kind of themes, and then you would draw a portrait or something based off of it. And so, but it was a fun challenge. And so it was a good way for me to just draw a fun fashion girl. And I think, yeah, this is dated 2019. So I think now moving forward, we're done with 2018. Yes, so this is 2019 again. And this, I really love this color palette and this vibe. I think that a lot of people who only follow me on YouTube and people who maybe haven't been following me for quite as long might be surprised maybe to see something like this, like very pinup-y, kind of spicy. But yeah, I actually really love pinups. It's not something that I've been doing as much lately, and it is tricky because I don't want to get demonetized on YouTube. But anyway, this I really like the eyes here. I love the red kind of eyeshadow and then the green eyes. I think it's a really nice kind of contrast there. And I also really love giving freckles for my portraits. I don't do it often because I often forget, but I do love adding freckles. I think it's such a cute touch. This is, I remember doing this during Pride Month, during June in 2019, and I wanted to draw various drag queens. And this is Kim Chi, who is one of my favorites, and I posted this on Instagram, and I must have tagged her because she actually shared it in her Instagram stories. And I was like so excited about that because yeah, her makeup skills and her aesthetic is one of my favorites. It's just stunning. And then another favorite drag queen who I mentioned earlier, this is Naomi Smalls, and Naomi is just so stunning, and also just their fashion and aesthetic is also right up my alley, and I'm obsessed. And then another favorite drag queen, Manila Luzon, who this look was when she was on All Stars, and I believe it was the Lady Bunny roast. I personally find drawing in like messy smudged makeup or like mascara tears to be quite fun. So it was a perfect opportunity for that. And then these 2 illustrations here were from 2019. And then again, because I don't like having empty spaces, I ended up doing this portrait here, I think either last year or early this year. And yeah, these 2 are just random fashion girls. And then this is my original character Momo with her hair down. For those of you who are familiar with this character, she is almost always in little space buns. I usually draw her with little space buns, but I thought, I don't know, it'd be fun to see what she would look like without them. And then this, we jump to 2021. I guess, yeah, I didn't work in this sketchbook at all during 2020. And this was, I created this illustration of myself. This is a self-portrait when I did my first studio tour in 2021, right at the beginning of the year. And this was the outfit that I wore when I did the tour. And it was a great way for me to post something on Instagram and advertise that I had a new YouTube video out. And yeah, I really enjoy the color scheme in this. And then jumping to the end of 2021, this is the sticker design that I created for my December rewards for Patreon. So for those of you who don't know, on Patreon, I create an artwork for every month, and I do a print, like a postcard, and then I also do a sticker design that goes with it. And for that month, I had this wintry unicorn illustration for the print, and so I wanted to create something that went with that for the sticker. And then here, this is, now we're in 2022. So now we're into this year. And this was the sticker design for my Patreon page for the month of January. And for that month, the theme was metamorphosis. So I did a lot of butterfly themes. And yeah, I came across this photo on Pinterest of a button-up blouse that had a moth, I think, on it. It was a different moth in the Pinterest illustration that I saw, but I chose a different type of moth to fit this color theme of these browns and blues, which is a combination that I don't really do often, but I quite enjoyed how it turned out here. And then this I taped in. It was originally on like a loose sheet of paper, but I felt like it just was suited to just be in a sketchbook. So I went ahead and stuck that in here. And this was a collaboration I did with Dessert, and they wanted me to test out their products. So it's their mixed media paper, their alcohol markers, and their fine liners. And then these are all Patreon sticker designs. This was to go with my buttercup painting. And then this was to go with the Aster painting, which are my original characters who are a princess and a knight. And I wanted them to feel like a set. So the portraits of them, they're kind of looking at each other. And then the stickers, they're sort of handing flowers to each other, which are of their name. So I thought that was a cute idea. And then this is my character Momo again. She was the theme for that month. So the postcard design of her, and then the sticker design, and similar to the previous sticker, the unicorn sticker, I made her sticker have little glitter accents on like the accessories and stickers on her face. And then for this page, I decided I would just forego the alcohol markers because I have been really, really into doing ballpoint pen sketches, and this paper is super smooth, so I thought it might be pretty satisfying to use ballpoint pens on it. And originally I was just doing ballpoint pen, and then recently I got inspired by my friend and fellow artist Chris Hong, who does highlighter. I think Cosmic Spectrum, Yana, also does highlighter first and then does the sketching on top. And I've been really, really enjoying this combination, not only because it just looks really interesting, but also helps me map out the portrait prior to committing to the ballpoint pen. But yes, for those of you who don't know, these are 3 of the members from BTS who I have been kind of obsessed with for the past couple of years now. I feel like I got Jungkook's and V's likeness pretty well. Unfortunately, Jimin, I didn't quite capture his likeness as much here, but that's how it goes sometimes. And 2 out of 3, not too bad. And then, of course, we've got the other 3 members here. We've got Jin, J-Hope, and Suga. I feel like Jin is not too bad in terms of likeness. And then, unfortunately, I find J-Hope to be extremely difficult to capture. I'm not sure what it is, but I don't think it quite landed here. And then Suga, it was like a so-so, not quite there, but I do think Jin is decently recognizable here. And then lastly, of course, RM, who is the leader. I don't love how his face turned out, unfortunately, but I do quite like how the hand and the folds in the jacket turned out. And then this is the most recent sticker design for my Patreon page. This month I had gone with the theme was like neon lighting, neon and fluorescent lighting. I think I titled it Fluorescent Adolescent, which is taken from the Arctic Monkeys song. And yeah, And yeah, this is where I'm now doing alcohol markers, colored pencils, and then like the colored fine liners. Okay, these, the rest of the pages that we're gonna see here, I did today because I was like, I need to finish this sketchbook off and finally do a tour. So in continuation of my BTS obsession, I am kind of I'm kind of workshopping these really cutesy portraits of all of the members with their BT21 characters. So they had made a collaboration with Line Play, I believe it's Line Play, to create these little kind of cutesy mascot characters for each member. And so I thought it'd be cute to draw each member in as a little costume, I guess, in their BT21 character. So these are done with paint markers and fine liners. These are just the experimenting. I think in the end, I'm going to do these digitally and make some merchandise out of it. I'm thinking maybe keychains, some stickers, washi tape maybe. So look out for that. I'm very excited. Some of them are more successful than others. Jimin is definitely my favorite so far. I did get a little lazy here, unfortunately, with Jin and J-Hope, but I promise that I'll make them cuter when I do the final version. And then because, you know, there's seven members here. I technically could have put one here, but I didn't want one of the members to be lonely. So contrary to what I was talking about earlier about wanting to fill up every inch of the page, I am just gonna leave that. And then that way Jin and J-Hope could be together. Yeah, and then I was like, what am I going to fill up the rest of this page with? So of course I just went back to doing some highlighter and ballpoint pen sketches here. I had started here. This is Jungkook, and I started here and I was like, I don't know why I hate this. And then so I did it a second time and a little bit better. It's mostly looks like him, I think. I think the nose definitely is right. There's something going on here that's kind of missing. I'm not really sure. But in any case, he loves making this expression and I think it's really cute. And then, and we are on the very last page. So I literally just finished this prior to filming this sketchbook tour. So this is actually Mingyu from the group 17, who I recently got into. And I think he is incredibly handsome, but unfortunately, I am really struggling to get his likeness. I mean, to be fair, all of these BTS portraits, these were not my first time drawing the BTS members, so I think I've gotten a little bit better with getting their likeness because it wasn't my first time drawing them. This was my first time drawing Mingyu. I don't know what it is. I need to figure out how to get his likeness, but he is a very, very handsome man. This portrait here is definitely my favorite, and I think looks maybe the closest to him. Not quite still, but in any case, that I quite enjoy this one. This one, not so much. This angle is really hard for me. It's an angle that I don't draw very often, that like not quite profile, but it was good practice in any way. So yeah, that is the finished sketchbook tour. I hope that you enjoyed. I'm very happy to finally have another sketchbook finished. I do have a couple of old sketchbook tours on my Patreon page, so if you do enjoy seeing my sketchbook, you can take a look at my Patreon page in the link below. And yeah, that's it for me. Thank you so much for watching, and I will catch you in the next one. Bye!